friends and enemies. It's time for Perhaps It's You, your favorite Unsolved Mysteries rewatch podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Samantha.
Oh, Samantha, you sound so clear. So
Oh,
crisp.
I hope so. Nothing frustrates me more than podcast technology issues, I gotta say.
It's the worst. It's the worst, but you sound great.
The worst. I'm on my third microphone in as many weeks. Hopefully, third time's the charm.
Thanks to our patrons, we bought Samantha a new microphone. I think it's doing the trick. We'll see. Knock on wood.
I actually watched a full YouTube video now, as opposed to the half a YouTube video we watched when we started this podcast.
Okay, I think I watched 2.5, and then I went,
oh, okay.
Yeah. I get it. I get how to podcast. This isn't that hard.
I did a small amount of research trying to figure out what was causing my audio issues. We got a new microphone. I've made some changes. I hope it's paying off in the form of good sound, because if it's not, this is just how we sound now. I don't know. There's nothing else I can do.
Then we just give up, I think.
I just quit. Yeah.
That's
how I feel at this point.
We just wait until we can record in person again and have those different issues.
Oh, give me that vaccine.
I know.
Anyway.
Stuck it to my vein. Every time someone's like, oh, I got it. And I'm like, you didn't steal any from me. You're so selfish. It was right there. And you didn't try to take any. Shame on you. I'll happily it's about to expire. I'll take 2.
Give it to me. It is expired.
Fine.
Give me a couple. I don't know.
It probably works. It's fine.
Yeah.
Let's try. Let's find out. Just show me the dumpster where you're throwing those away. I'll take a few. I feel like I am last in line, which is fine. I'm not high risk. Like, I have a W last name. I'm kind of used to being last in line. Everyone else is going to get it first. And I'll just be sitting here in my house, slowly working on a puzzle. And so everybody's like, there's just going to be that time in spring where it's really not that warm, but everybody in Minnesota is wearing like shorts and a tank top and just like, woo! Everybody's going to be out doing that with 2 beers, just like howling in the street because they can finally leave the house. And I'll just be like, this is fine.
Sitting here.
Fine. Yeah.
Podcasting alone.
Yeah. I'll just watch Riverdale again. It's fine. I don't mind. Do we have any updates for our dear 5 listeners?
I guess maybe thanks to those who came to the Wart Jr. welcome party.
Yes.
We should probably explain what that is if anyone is tuning in for the first time. This is the first episode. They don't know what Wart Jr. refers to.
Too bad. You'll never know. No, it's on Animal Crossing, and he's a villager you can have on your island. He's a little toad, and I thought
covered in warts.
I thought he was the worst villager ever with the best name, but you know what? I love him.
He was actually cute. It was actually quite cute. You decorated his house. People left him gifts.
There were balloon arches. Yeah, the fact that people left him gifts is fucking hilarious to me. The fact that you just kept yelling things like "We love you, Wart." I don't know. We took a bunch of pictures with him. He was busily crafting in a corner, and I think it's just he couldn't handle all the attention. Like it was a little overwhelming to him.
Oh yeah, a party just for him. Wart has not had this much attention before. I'm certain.
No. So it was actually super adorable. I'm never getting rid of him. He's on my island.
He's here to stay for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I thought I was gonna have him for like 1 week as a laugh, but I should have known. I'm already like super attached. Like no way. Meringue, get out of here. Wart Jr., this is your permanent home.
Liz is gonna have the opportunity to get some like top tier villager, and you're gonna be like, no, I'll keep Wart Jr.
No, it's Wart Jr.'s not going anywhere. His name is Wart Jr. I mean,
where is Wart Sr.? That's what I want to know.
Never stop being funny to me. And he has the cutest like little traditional Japanese house. I love it.
It is pretty cute. I quite enjoyed our little virtual meetup, which is the only way we can meet up anymore. If you play Animal Crossing and you're not in our Animal Crossing Facebook group, if you're not on Facebook, I can't help you. But you can join our Animal Crossing Facebook group. We do these things from time to time where we virtually meet up on someone's Animal Crossing island. It's quite a treat. Yeah, welcome Wart Jr. to the family.
This is the first one we'd had on my island and not your island. Yeah.
Yeah. My island, I need to step up my game. Everyone's islands are getting so cute. I loved all the themed areas in your island.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to go to the woods from the podcast Baraska? That you can do on my island. It's also what's keeping my island at 4 stars.
Because it's covered in weeds.
Yeah. Well, and I have too many trees.
Oh, okay.
And also, yeah, there's just like stuff on the ground and it's full of weeds to give it that realistic, creepy woods vibe.
Yeah, I mean, you did a good job.
I mean, between people who don't know what Animal Crossing is and people who don't know what Baraska is, we're really honing in on a very niche audience, even more than just having an Unsolved Mysteries rewatch podcast.
If there's one thing I know people love in the podcast they listen to, it's inside jokes and references that they're not in on.
But it's like, what are you talking about? Look, this won't be the whole show. I'm sorry.
Nah, I think we're done. Let's wrap it up. Let's plug our shit and go.
And that's a wrap. Oh, I did have one minor update from the last episode, was that there was the security guard who was bribed $20 in 1991. I looked up the value of that today. $38.
Okay, I think you said 50.
Yeah, well, look, my point is more.
Sure.
It would be more, right? It would have the buying power of $38 today. So if you
knew that he was dumping a body, I think he would have asked for more.
No, he would have not let him done it, I don't think. He seems like a stand-up dude.
That's true.
My point is, if you would have bribed someone $20 in 1991, you got to double it. That's worth nothing now. You better be 2 $20 bills.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, at least. Yeah. Even I still say you probably should give a 50. Just one $50 bill.
You need to just ask for more money. If you're asking for money, I guarantee you're not asking for enough. Just up it a little.
Yeah, it's true. I asked a guest artist to do our coloring sheet this month, and they gave us the price of $20. And I was like, no, that's not enough.
So Liz offered, I believe, how much more?
Yeah, we tripled that.
It, yeah.
That's not enough, artist.
Yeah, you gotta value your work more, and also your time. I feel like that's something that I know I'm guilty of too, is like, your time is worth something.
Absolutely. So, you can never get more of it. It's very valuable.
Exactly.
It's yours to waste as you please, so...
Yeah, if you gotta stand there and look the other way while someone dumps some trash in a dumpster, that's value. That's time you're never gonna get back.
Yeah, $50, and you could get in trouble at work. You could get rid up or something. Yeah,
you have taken all these factors into account if you're set a price.
Then you're roped into this whole murder case. So
exactly.
Yeah,
find out they're covered in blood. Yeah.
Get your money. Yeah. Okay. So now we can talk about this next episode, which is kind of a gem.
I gotta say, it kind of is. This is season 6, episode 6. You can watch it for free on YouTube. You can watch it on Amazon with about 5 million ads.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, this is a good one. I think I'm up first.
It doesn't have Daniel Day Kim like the last episode does, but it has its own particular delights.
It sure does. So this first one is a paranormal.
It sure is. It's unexplained, all right. And I don't have an explanation.
I've got an explanation for pieces of this. I don't know that I have an explanation for the whole thing. But anyway, this is a bit of a Halloween special on Unsolved Mysteries. Mm-hmm. This is the case of the Lake Wales Haunted House, also known as the Mann House, MANN.
It's just the Man House.
The Man House.
Terrible. It's just a house with no bed frames and
From what I can tell, this isn't a super famous haunted house. You'll probably
You
quickly
don't
understand
you
why.
don't
I
you don't
think
say.
Unsolved Mysteries called it the Mann House because the Mann family lived there, but it's not like just because it has a name like the Mann House, like I don't know, name another famous haunted house, does not mean that this is notorious.
It's notorious to me now.
I mean, it will be to this podcast, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
So, Robert Stack opens the segment by saying, if you happen to be in Lake Wales, Florida, there's a house you might want to avoid.
Done. I will never go to this house. Consider it a promise.
You know when you often find yourself in Lake Wales, Florida?
I mean, maybe.
Don't
Maybe
go to
you
this
live
house.
there. Yeah.
He says it's a very ordinary looking house, but as you can probably guess, appearances can be deceiving.
I love that. It's classic Stack right there.
So it's fall 1991, and 19-year-old Alan Mann lived in this house with his parents. He worked nights, and during the day, he was often home alone, or so he thought.
Oh, he was wrong.
So this
Dead
first
wrong.
incident, we see him taking a nap at about 3:00 in the afternoon on top of the covers, like fucking weirdo.
Oh, that's a bad nap. Bad nap.
It's just fully clothed in his like jeans on top of the covers. I could never nap like that.
Does he still have his shoes on?
Yes, I think he did.
I don't like shoes in the bed.
No, I don't really. I know it's different for different people. It depends on how you were raised. But I don't wear my shoes in the house, so I certainly am not going to wear my shoes in bed.
No, I don't. If you do that, I mean, to you, I don't get to tell you how to live your life, but I'm not a fan. And that looked like a really bad nap.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you could possibly sleep like this, but apparently he was dozing when suddenly the image of a mysterious woman appeared before him. This apparition that they show in the reenactment is completely modern to 1991.
Like, not that mysterious, really. It just looks like someone's mom, yes. And it's also wearing mom jeans.
Yes, and a sweater. I think like a mustard-colored sweater tucked
Actually,
into her mom jeans.
One of the least mysterious figures I've ever seen.
Not menacing at all. They're gonna make it seem like this ghost is menacing, but I'm pretty sure if this ghost appeared to me, I would just expect, like, I don't know, to be offered a snack.
Yeah, or I feel like okay, did you used to do a thing in school where you would like write your homework on your hand or like something that you needed to remember? Did you ever do that?
Yeah.
People's moms would always yell at me for doing that. So I guess that's like not Christian, depending on your interpretation of the Bible. Oh. So
according writing on your hand is not Christian? Is that like kind of like a tattoo thing? I've never heard this before. It washes off.
I know! Also, I just need to remember that I have a quiz tomorrow. Calm down. But I got yelled at about that a lot. So I sort of would expect this mom to be like, writing on your hand, I see.
Yeah, that's what this ghostly apparition looked like. He says that the figure turned away from the door as if it was leaving, and by the time he got up and walked about 3 paces to get to the door, it had disappeared as if it had never been there.
Taking her mom jeans with her.
Yes. So Alan Mann said he looked high and low for the mysterious woman, but even though the doors were locked from the inside, she was nowhere to be found. He told his mother he thought he'd seen a ghost, but his mother refused to believe him. That was
almost like he was napping. He might have been asleep.
Had a dream? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess there's no reason why, like, ghosts can't look modern. It's very jarring to me to see it's like
that ghost died earlier that day. Yeah. And then it's haunting him for some reason, even though he doesn't know who that is. Yeah. It's like she's like, I just came to say goodbye, and he goes, okay, who are you? We've never met.
It's very strange. Yeah. Yeah, when you think of ghosts that haunt a house, you don't think that they're gonna, like, I don't know, look like they should live next door.
They're just gonna, like, hang out with you. Or, yeah, bring you here's some, what is it, celery with peanut butter and raisins. Here's a little healthy after-school snack. And you're like, I'm sorry, do I know you? Are you a ghost? But Robert Stack wants us to know that his parents poo-pooed the idea.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that was Robert Stack's quote. His mom poo-pooed his idea that he had seen a ghost. But
how did he say that with a straight face? What an actor.
I honestly don't know, but that's why Robert Stack is the best.
Yep.
So his mom didn't believe him, but that I don't understand how much time elapsed, but at some point Alan marries a 16-year-old named Linda.
Yep.
He's 19 at the beginning of this segment. It seems like after he saw the ghost, shortly after he got married. That's what the timeline appears to be. But anyway, 16-year-old Linda moves into his parents' house with him.
Robert Stack is just like, and his new 16-year-old bride. And you go, I'm sorry, what? What's happening? Was the ghost coming to say, don't marry someone in high school? That's weird.
Maybe that was the warning. Honestly, maybe that could have been it.
He just learned how to drive. She's basically a toddler.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alan. Don't approve. Approve. You're getting a harsh glare from me.
Yeah, I'm side-eyeing this a bit. So 16-year-old Linda moves into the house with Alan and his mom and dad. Shortly after the wedding, Alan...
What a life! What a life to get married at 16 and then go live with your in-laws. Bleh.
What a life. Yeah, so after the wedding, Alan's mother and Sandra are hanging out watching TV in the living room. Sandra was still a skeptic about the ghost thing, but suddenly she changed her tune. This is what happens. She's sitting on the couch and she has her little dog Prince, who's a little Yorkie, on a pillow next to her on the couch, and Prince starts barking at what appears to be, she describes it as a white smoky thing, as a direct quote. She says, at first I thought it was fire, but by that time the dog had gotten up on his feet and then it disappeared. When Prince came back, I said, Prince, we've got company.
Sure. The thing that Mac pointed out about this is that the dog is a way better actor than the woman.
That dog wasn't, I actually wrote it down. That dog was a great actor. I got a perfect dog movie bark, if that makes sense.
He also responds to where they add in the smoke as if there's really a ghost, where that woman is just sitting on the couch like, huh. This dog is actually going up, barking, reacting.
Going
that
back
woman
and sitting
is just,
back on the pillow. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just kind of sitting there chilling. I believe the dog saw a ghost. I do not believe that woman saw a ghost.
I think she saw a white smoky thing, I guess. Could that have been a ghost? I don't know. Things in this house seem to catch fire randomly, as we'll see later. So, I don't know.
Okay, my theory, if I have a theory, is that one, the 16-year-old is playing pranks on them, but also they might have a gas leak.
Yeah, or something.
Because
there's probably an earthly explanation to this.
Because they start talking about how it smells bad all the time, and also things are catching on fire. So I kind of think they have a gas leak.
I do think they described this. Maybe I wrote it down. I'll have to see. Maybe I think they described it as old tires or
Yeah, like an old engine or something.
Yes,
it sounds
disgusting.
I think it was.
Yeah, which I think he might be onto something with this gas leak thing. Maybe it was affecting their mental states.
I think they're hallucinating too from the gas. Yes, I think they should have probably got a building inspector or something to come out.
They should have got the paranormal home inspectors.
Yeah, Brian would put short work to this ghost. He would
poo-poo the shit out of this.
You know he would.
So even though Linda hadn't seen the apparition, she was convinced that the house was haunted. Determined to get the scoop, Linda enlisted a friend who had a Ouija board.
As you do.
Right. So they used the Ouija board, and according to Linda and Alan, the name...
Okay, but why did they use the Ouija board in the doorway between two rooms instead of sitting in one of the rooms?
I don't know. This house does seem extremely small. Maybe it's just they fit two people in one room and two people in the other room.
they show the living room, and the whole living room rug is like free, where they could have put a fucking Ouija board, but instead they're sitting on folding chairs literally in a small doorway. And Mac was like, were they not allowed to film in this other room? Like, I don't understand.
It's a weird shot, I gotta say. Yeah, that's another mystery. I have no explanation for that.
Are you supposed to use Ouija boards in a door? Is that a thing?
It's like a door. It's, doorways are, they mirror portals to other dimensions, and so you can channel that energy as you're communing with the spirits.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you think your house is haunted and you know me, I've got a couple Ouija boards, post-pandemic, give me a call. We'll sit in a doorway. We'll figure this out.
Yeah, I'll be that friend with a Ouija board that comes over when your house is haunted by a mom.
Samantha, I think my house is haunted by a mom.
So according to Linda and Alan, the board spelled out the name Kramer.
Huge Seinfeld fan, this ghost.
Yeah.
Also, makes me think that the ghost died earlier that day. So they're just like, hey, have you been watching Seinfeld? That Kramer, he's a kook,
So this was all the proof they needed, according to Robert Stack. They had a ghost, and her name was Kramer. Alan's father, David, however, was not convinced.
Yeah, he thought he was living he was living with a bunch of flakes. That's what he says.
I didn't want to have anything to do with it, is what he said.
The idea of calling your wife, your son, and your son's teenage bride a bunch of flakes is hilarious to me for some reason.
I thought I was living with a bunch of flakes. Yeah, so he didn't believe any of this nonsense. That was until what happened next. Liz, I'm going to describe what happens next, and I want you to tell me if you think that Linda was possessed by the spirit of the soccer mom, or if Linda and Alan were having loud sex in a room that was seemingly right off the living room, and for some reason this loud sex involved a lot of laughing, and it kind of freaked out his parents, and then Linda and Alan had to come up with an explanation for what they were doing.
I think that's exactly what happened. That's when I was like, I think this is partially pranks. Or in this case, just lying. That when your parents get like too involved with your sex life because you still live with them, that you're like, well, that wasn't us. That was the ghost. We don't laugh maniacally during sex, Mom. That was the ghost. But also, if my oh God, I even hate saying this sentence, but if my parents are hearing me having sex, I really hope they don't go, are they more active than usual? What happens in this?
I definitely don't want to star in a reenactment of this incident that is played on network television.
No!
A lot of segments of this show are nightmare fuel. This is like also nightmare fuel in a whole different way.
It's just so embarrassing. This is like a dream where you go to school and you're not wearing pants.
So this is what Robert Stack says. They weren't prepared for what happened next.
I'm still not prepared, and I've watched this twice.
So according to Alan, him and Linda were just hanging out in bed, fully clothed, enjoying each other's company, and suddenly Linda attacked him.
While like removing her glasses or his glasses and just being like
she starts doing this maniacal laugh, and then she jumps on top of him and they kind of roll off the camera, and then the camera pans like outside of their door where his parents
are listening,
are standing in the living room wondering what is going on in the bedroom.
No, don't wonder. Turn up some music. Yeah, it turns out this ghost was real horny. And also liked a good laugh, as do we all.
Yeah, Alan says, talking of Linda, she was laughing. She had this weird laugh I'd never heard. It didn't even sound like her. She normally had this squeaky little giggle. This was almost an evil laugh.
Look, yeah, this is just a lie that's gotten out of control, and then they had to repeat on national television. And I can't think of anything more. I think I would rather die. I think I would rather die than be in this situation.
According to Alan and Linda, they had a scuffle in which Linda started to get more violent and
a scuffle. That's what the kids were calling it then, a scuffle.
She tried to hold Alan down by his wrists, which that part might be true.
Sounds good. I don't know.
He had to like slam her against the wall to get her off. I don't know. And
then Linda's like, I don't have an evil laugh, and I don't do those things.
Yeah.
Which I guess is groaning.
Like
I don't know.
Do those things, Linda, and that's fine. But it's fine. I realize that your husband's parents, who are probably a couple of squares, were a little freaked out by the evil laugh you do during sex, but
she's embarrassed because she's fucking 16 and these are her in-laws.
Oh god, I just remembered she's 16. I didn't want to think about that again.
Yes! This is all very weird. It's extremely weird. I don't think it's paranormal, but it's not right.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Suddenly, according to Robert Stack, the harmless ghost had taken on a whole new personality that was difficult to ignore.
Yes. It wanted sex. It was insatiable.
So, a spiritualist told the Manns to pour salt around their house, and Robert Stack says a few slugs were sacrificed, but otherwise, the situation was unchanged.
Robert Stack. Okay, look. Robert Stack is no dummy. He thinks this is as ridiculous as we do. So, I think he's getting in a little snark about the salt situation.
A little bit of snark. I laughed out loud. That was funny.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
They said that every time they tried something, it would settle down for a little while, but then it would come back stronger and there would be more, quote, happenings. Then the house began to take...
Explain what that is. Is that just their kid doing it? What are the happenings?
It came back stronger. They would abstain for a while because their parents were weirded out, but then they just couldn't take it anymore, and they're...
Oh my god, Alan, you have to move out. This is not a good situation. Look, I'm pretty sure this house has a gas leak, so move out for that reason. But also, your parents are listening to you bone. So, again.
And probably being really judgy by the sound of it.
It's time to get your own place. Ah!
So
why is this on TV? Why is this on TV? Someone answer that question. So they called in the hotline and they're like, "We've got a ghost story for you." Oh my god.
I think you're right. I think this maybe was a lie that got out of hand. But anyway, so at this point in the story, the house begins to smell and everyone in the family started suffering from headaches.
Because there's a gas leak, I swear.
Some of the rooms even took on a, quote, deathly chill. And then according to Sandra, the voices began.
Which I'm pretty sure is just... I don't know.
Maybe a hallucination? Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
they described the voices as dull and muttering, and there was one woman's voice over top of the rest. But they could not distinguish anything that they were saying. David and Sandra tried to act blasé, but according to David, the ghost was not about to let them off the hook. At this point... let
you off the hook for what? For what though?
Being in their house, I guess. I honestly don't know what motivates this ghost.
Sex. I'm pretty sure it's sex.
Oh, it might be. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. So at this point,
it's a mom that passed over to the next world, or sometime in the 90s, and also just needs to get railed. And for some reason, she's haunting this house. That's the part that's confusing. Why them?
It is slight. There's a lot about this that's confusing, to be honest. So David is the father, is very frustrated at this point. He's walking in the hallway and he smells the smell again and he loses it. And he starts yelling at his wife to tell Isabella that she needs to get the fuck out of here. That's not a direct quote.
And then she's like, who the hell are you talking about?
Yes. She's like, why do you know that her name is Isabella? And he says that he doesn't know. It's just like something that came to him when he just was certain that her name was Isabella. So
that's so weird too.
Isabella Kramer. Yeah, the mans were spooked.
I can't pull it together.
Very real, Liz. This is definitely a real ghost named Isabella Kramer that's haunting this poor family.
I can't pull it together, and also I have "This Is How We Do It" stuck in my head. It's just playing over and over again. This is how we do it. That's what I assume the voices that they hear in the house are.
They were singing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't make it out, but...
They couldn't quite make it out, but in the distance. This is how we do it.
So at this point, the mans are spooked. So they decide that it's time... Or Alan and Linda decide at this point it's time for them to move out.
Yes, oh my god, yes. It's been time to move out for so long.
But before that... word of the man's plight reached the, quote, Center for Paranormal Studies in Silver Springs, Florida.
As it would. They've really got their ear to the grapevine of paranormal sex activities, so.
Paranormal sex activity. Are we allowed to name this episode? Is that going to get flagged to the iTunes store? Can we call this episode Paranormal Sex Activity?
I think so. That's not... I mean, I swear.
That's true.
Look, I have no idea how any of that works.
No, I don't know either. So,
this is how we do it.
Robert Stack says, armed with a truckload of electronic equipment, the center's 3 founders showed up at the man's house. Andrew Nichols, who is one of the parapsychologists sent to study the man's house, said it definitely had an oppressive ambiance to it.
That's just rude.
Whatever. All of these guys don't come up with any evidence other than this suspect Polaroid, which we'll talk about. All they talk about is that the house had like a depressive feeling to it, which seems rude, but
they were like, we hated being at this house. It sucked. I was like, does that have anything to do with the ghost? And they're like, no. Also, these guys, for X-Files fans, I'm pretty sure this is the lone gunman. Like, what? They kind of even look like them. There's 3 of them. I don't know. They've got that vibe. And they just come to this house to be like, yeah, this place sucks. Let's get out of here.
Well, they do spend several hours in the house, after which they say they all began to experience headaches. So, gas leak, maybe. Yeah, then according to Andrew, Linda and Alan's old bedroom received the highest amount of paranormal activity.
I'm so mature.
In this is where they took a series of Polaroid photographs. In one of them, they say there's this flux of I don't know, electromagnetic energy. One of their meters is beeping or something. I don't really know what's going on. But at this point, they decided to take the photographs. And in one of them, there's a strange anomaly, which they call a humanoid shape. It's clearly just like...
It's a blur. Okay.
It's just a blob, or maybe a light flashed. It's like...
Polaroid
it doesn't look like a ghost at all.
Pictures are fun. They are not, like, reliable.
No.
They're not, like, super accurate. There's a reason why we kind of moved on for that technology. And I realize it's come back, like, a little bit as, like, you know, kitschy fun. But, yeah, they're not, like, known for being, like, real good. So the fact that they were like, this Polaroid has a blob in it, I was like, I'd be more impressed by a Polaroid that didn't have a blob in it. I'd be like, wow, that's a really clear, sharp Polaroid. That is a miracle. Let's get a miracle segment on that.
They literally called it a vague humanoid shape.
It's a yellow blob. I'm here to tell you, as an official Unsolved Mysteries expert, no, that is not a humanoid shape. My ass.
So I think the last thing that happens, I might have the timeline slightly wrong, but Alan and Linda are moving out, and while they're packing up their bedroom, Linda is just mad at this ghost. She's cursing out this ghost. She's like, I'm glad we're getting out of this fucking house. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the ghost, but she says she's very upset with the ghost and wanted to tell the ghost what's what. And at that moment, a light bulb just like explodes and starts shooting flames up into the air.
Okay, I don't fully understand this part because the narration says the light bulb explodes, but the reenactment shows the light bulb turning into a flamethrower.
Something else wasn't where it could happen with a light bulb.
So I was like, that's not how a light bulb explodes. But then they were like, it went on for about a minute or half a minute. And I was like, okay, that is weird. But then again, I was like, because you have a gas leak.
Yeah, something is wrong with this house. Anyway, that's all I got.
Friday night. Okay. It's a great segment. I highly recommend watching it.
It's weird as hell, but it was very entertaining.
If you like giant flower moo-moos, you're gonna love it. Okay. We are now okay. Unsolved Mysteries can really give you whiplash because we go from this like sex fiend ghost to a serious lost love about World War II. And there is literally like there was probably a commercial break between those, but that's it. It's like, okay,
we're gonna go to an orphanage, so buckle up.
Now we're talking about something serious and depressing. It opens. This is what I wrote in my notes. Robert Stack says war is bad. We know, Stack, but even World War II was bad. Wow. Okay. And Robert Stack wants us to know that for every man killed, a family was shattered and changed forever. So this is about Merchant Marine William Murphy, who in the December of 1941 was aboard a supply ship that was torpedoed and left behind a wife and 4 children. Within a month of her husband's death, Maura Murphy placed her son in a foster home and took her 3 daughters to an orphanage on the outskirts of London, which was called St. Helen's Convent of Mercy. It was particularly hard to transition to the orphanage for her oldest daughter, Adine, to say goodbye because she had like the best understanding of what was going on. So we see this sort of tearjerking reenactment where she's like running after her mother, and her mother is saying like, "Oh, I can come and see you on the weekends, but I don't have the means to take care of you, so you have to stay at the orphanage." So we get some bleak reenactments at the orphanage. The conditions reflected wartime rations. There wasn't a lot of food. The heating was poor. And there was a lot of children and not a lot of staff. So they had really strict rules. And they would also like hit the children to keep them in line. So, yeah, it was a, bleak existence. Adine in particular was very lonely to be away from her mother. And it was sort of unbearable until a new girl arrived at the convent named Eve Mazel. Her father, who was a Jewish musician, had died in a concentration camp, but Eve's mother had managed to escape to London. However, by the time she got to London, she didn't have any money left, so she sent Eve to the orphanage for room and board. At this time, there would have been a lot of children at the orphanage that actually did still have living parents, but people didn't have the means to take care of them during the war. So the two of them became fast friends. They bonded by making jokes about the nuns. We get a kind of cute reenactment of them playing jacks. But the war is still going on. So the Blitz was happening pretty much every night in London with the bombing, and the girls we get a reenactment of them like hiding in the basement bunker. So in addition to like worrying about their own safety, they also are worrying about their mothers who are just like out in London and they don't have super regular contact with them, so they're just like hoping their moms are okay. The escapism that the two of them would talk about a lot was how much they wanted to move to America. They didn't really know a ton about the United States, but to them it seemed like this place where, first of all, it wasn't getting bombed all the time and there was more food and life would just be better. Eventually, the war ended and they were reunited with their families, which is good to hear. They even went on to attend the same high school and take the same classes. Shortly after graduation, Adine was able to move to the United States because some member of her family sponsored her. But Eve didn't take the news particularly well. I think Adine didn't really think of it that seriously because she sort of assumed Adine was going to come to the US too and they would like finally live out their dream. But of course, Eve was like hurt to be left behind, and the two of them had spent so much time together, and particularly these like, very emotional, scary bonding times that it was like a big deal that Adine left her essentially. And it turned out that was the last time they saw each other. It's a reenactment of like they're in the woods, and Adine's like, I finally get to go to America. And Eve's like, well, good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Adine was, she says when she's on the show, at the time, she was 17. She didn't realize how hurt Eve was, because they had talked about and dreamt about going and taking this journey together, and now she was getting left behind. I think in retrospect, she realizes, at the time, I think she didn't understand her friend's feelings, but
yeah. I think she also was just like, well, you'll be there in like a year or so anyway. So, we won't be apart for that long. And Eve, maybe like more realistically, was like, sure, kid,
Yeah.
See you around. So they did keep in touch for a while. They were pen pals. Both of them ended up married. But of course, just over the years, they eventually lost touch. So Adine was trying to get in touch with her long lost friend. And it's very sweet, this sort of like call for her, and she talks about how she is like still in her dreams all the time, and just like how much that friendship meant to her when she really had no one else. And I can't even imagine just like getting through something so traumatic. Well, I have to say Unsolved Mysteries was absolutely no help, but in the update we learned that Adine goes to England and does a search in the public records and is able to locate Eve, and they were reunited, so that's really sweet. There's not a ton to this segment. I'm sorry, the viewers weren't more helpful, but she did get to find Eve in the end, and yeah.
I do wish there was a reunion in this segment. Not a lot. So we've seen a few of these like childhood friends, lost loves, but very few of them I feel like had such a long friendship. Like,
that's true.
Basically, they grew up together. I mean, all through high school until they were 17, 18 years old. And yeah, must be so. They only, I think, corresponded for like a year in letters before they just, drifted apart. And that's got to be so hard, especially like you mentioned, they went through such a traumatic experience together and bonded at that time. To lose that friend has got to be just so horrible.
And I feel like, particularly at the orphanage, they were spending like every waking hour together.
Right.
Like they were inseparable. So obviously that was like such an important part of her life, and just like forming her as a person, something that was going to stay with her forever. And I do feel like people from your childhood, I thought it was really sweet that she said that she's like, she's still in my dreams, because I feel like people from your childhood that you saw all the time do end up in your dreams. They're just like burned into your brain.
Yeah.
This never, it is a very formative time. So that's never going to leave you. And she never forgot her friend, and the fact that her friend, like, was just there for her and no one else was, and helped get her through the situation by like, making fun of the nuns and, and dreaming about going somewhere else. And I don't know. It was cute to hear about it. Also, Eve is Jewish and staying at this, Catholic orphanage. So Eve would be told to do stuff that was Catholic, and she was just kind of like, whatever. And clearly Adine like appreciated her attitude. And I think it like helped make this situation like seem less serious.
Yeah, I agree.
That she was like, oh, we were supposed to do like these acts of contrition before bed because we might literally die in our sleep from the bombing. But Eve was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm Jewish. So I think it just like, I don't know. It helped her like see the situation from a slightly different perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a cute segment.
I like A Lost Love. It was good.
Yeah.
So I have the next mystery real quick. I forgot to look at the update in the for the Man House on the Unsolved Mysteries wiki. No surprise, it's not solved.
Did that ghost finally get railed or not, Samantha? Tell me.
Well, that we'll never know. I assume so. But the Unsolved Mysteries wiki does say that no new investigations have been done at the house. Alan's father, David, passed away in June 2007 at the age of 62. Alan's mother, Sandra Mann, passed away in 2018. She was 72. Alan and Linda, sadly, divorced. But the Unsolved Mysteries wiki does say that they stayed friendly afterwards. I don't know who wrote this and how they know that. But Alan later remarried and had 2 children, and he passed away in 2018 as well. He was 46.
Wow, that's young.
Yeah.
Hard to believe marrying someone a 16-year-old didn't work out, but
yeah, hard to believe. Anyway, that was the update from that one. Next we have an unexplained death. And this one is also sad. I mean, there's just just no way around it. It's just kind of a
Yeah,
bummer.
it is. Yeah.
So Lisa Zeigert was a beloved teacher in Agawam, Massachusetts, who taught special needs students at a local middle school. By all accounts, she cared for her students and connected with them. Her students remembered that she was always nice and willing to answer questions. Some of her students are actually interviewed by Unsolved Mysteries, and it is heartbreaking. Like, everyone
Yeah.
remembers having a good teacher, and these students describe her in like such elegant ways. Like, they talk about how she would always answer their questions and never made them feel stupid. She was always very helpful. One of her students at the end of the segment is very sad, gets kind of choked up, and says that she misses how much of a friend
I
Lisa
know.
was to everyone. So she was just a good teacher and made a difference in these kids' lives, and the whole community really liked her. So this whole thing is just super sad. So at around 4:30 p.m. on April 15, 1992, she left school and went to a card and gift shop where she worked weekends from 5 to 9. At
Because we
5,
don't pay teachers enough. Anyway, go on.
yeah, if you're not in America maybe and you're wondering why a teacher who works full time needs to go work at a gift shop on the weekends from 5 to 9, well,
Oh my god. She was working 7 days a week!
yeah.
Ah! Anyway.
So at 5:30 p.m., her sister Lynn visited her. Lynn left at 6 p.m. and didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. The next morning, Lisa's coworker, Sophia Menard, arrived as usual to open up the store, but was surprised to see Lisa's car still in the parking lot. At first, she thought Lisa maybe was there to help stuff balloons for the Easter weekend. However, when she went inside, there was no trace of her. Her car keys, pocketbook, and drawings were all left behind. Sophia went next door and called the police.
Hmm.
Investigators found signs of a struggle in the back storeroom, along with some spots of blood. A massive search began for Lisa with the FBI involved. Tragically, 4 days later on Easter, her body was found in a wooded area
On
on the edge of
Easter.
town. On Easter.
I hate it when stuff like this happens on holidays just because I know that's going to be so hard from the family moving forward. Like,
Yeah,
now every Easter thing is going to remind them of this.
it's awful. So
Boo.
the location was 2 miles away from the store. She had been sexually assaulted and stabbed to death. Since she was so well loved, nobody could understand why she was murdered. This woman did not have enemies. Thousands stood in the pouring rain at her wake to mourn her death. Investigators soon received 3 critical tips in the case. One came from a woman who was at the store around 8:20 p.m. and found that there was nothing unusual. A timestamp receipt confirmed that time. The second tip was from a woman who came in at 9 p.m. and found the store open but appearing empty. When in fact, Lisa and her killers were potentially in the back storeroom at the time because she heard sounds coming from the back of the store. This could have been Lisa struggling with her killer.
How horrible for that woman to realize that.
Seriously. So the final tip came from a third woman who stopped at the intersection of Route 75 and Adams Street around 9:15 p.m. While at the intersection, she saw a car with a man and a woman struggling in the back seat. It was driving towards the area where Lisa's body was later found. So a memorial has been placed at the Agawam Middle School for Lisa, and there was a reward being offered for information in the case. They described the man. I'm trying to see if there's any other information in my notes. I don't see anything. Just this is sad. Yeah, well, we know. Okay, the result is that this is solved. But Unsolved Mysteries also didn't help with this one. A Crime Watch Daily segment aired in 2015 in which investigators revealed that in the weeks prior to her abduction, Lisa had told people that she believed she was being watched. She also asked several friends and relatives to visit her frequently as she did not like being in the store alone. This led investigators to believe that her killer had been stalking her in the weeks leading up to her murder. In December 2015, DNA found at the crime scene was sent to a lab for analysis. Since then, the company was able to create a DNA phenotype. Based on their analysis, they determined that Lisa's killer was likely fair-skinned with hazel or brown eyes and brown or black hair. On September 18th, 2017, it was announced that Lisa's killer had finally been identified. DNA evidence at the crime scene was matched to 48-year-old Gary Shara, who had been a suspect in this case since 1993.
Wow.
Investigators recently tried to re-interview him only to learn that he had fled. He was later found in a Connecticut hospital after an attempted suicide. He was arrested and charged with murder, aggravated rape, and kidnapping. Along with the DNA evidence, investigators stated that a witness gave them a handwritten note believed to have been written by Gary. In the note, he confessed to Lisa's abduction, rape, and murder. On September 25th, 2019, Shara unexpectedly pled guilty to first-degree murder in Lisa's case and admitted to being responsible for her death. He faced a mandatory life sentence without the possibility of parole.
What a dirtbag.
Seriously. I wish I had more information because he was pretty much immediately a suspect. But they must not have had any solid evidence. So maybe she knew him? I don't know.
It took so long to get some closure on that.
He pled guilty in 2019.
Yeah, whoa.
So,
I hope he chokes on his food or something.
Yeah, same.
What an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, God.
It's very sad. She clearly had such a positive impact on her community and was, just so beloved and working so hard and clearly still going to this job even though she didn't feel safe, and to end up being abducted there. It's just awful.
Yeah, and it's really hard to hear from her students. It's just, this one is a sad. It's interesting, but it is a sad case.
I'm my God, they figured out who it was, but it took so long.
I know.
Of everybody just knowing that person was out there.
Yeah. What else do you think? I mean, he could have committed other crimes. He could have hurt other people.
Just goes around ruining Easter for everyone.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got one more. There's a bunch of unnecessary updates now in this episode. There's like 3 or something.
It's a lot.
It's obscene. I don't appreciate it at all. But then at the very end, they throw in a quick little wanted that I almost was like, these are all just updates. I almost missed it. But we have one last little segment that takes place January 5th, 1991 in Orange, California. This is the story of Rory Weidel, who was at first having a good year. He was 25. He was about to get engaged. He had just finished his schooling and was about to open his own auto shop. Unfortunately, that night, things changed. After spending the day with his girlfriend, he made a quick stop at his house around 9:30. He ran into his garage to get something and left his car running because he was just going to be a second. I think he was getting like speakers or who knows. It doesn't matter. He was in the garage for less than a minute when he heard his car engine rev. And he knew enough about cars to know, that was his car. So he comes outside to find a guy just sitting in his car revving the engine.
So creepy.
It was very creepy. So Rory is like yelling at him like, dude, what are you doing? Get out of my car. And the guy gets out of the car and shoots him twice before getting into his own car and driving away.
What the hell?
Why? What? This is the most random crime I've ever heard. So Rory doesn't really remember what happens next. His neighbor had heard the car revving and thought that was unusual at that time of night, so had looked out the window and actually sees him get shot. After he's shot, a couple other neighbors run outside. Fortunately, 2 of them were trained in emergency medical training, and that's the only reason that Rory survived. Because he was shot in the neck and in the leg. So they come out and help him, and they are able to get him into surgery. The doctors think that he's not going to make it, but he does. However, he no longer has use of his legs, and he had limited use of his arms and hands. So this was a just wanted segment looking for the shooter, but there is no update, and I couldn't find any more information on this case.
Wow, that's a fucking bummer.
So I think Rory is just a victim of the absolute most random crime that I've ever heard. And I hope his life went in a positive direction after this, but why shoot him? They didn't even steal the car. It's so weird. And they've noticed the car was left running, even though it was there for a minute. Who are these people? What are they doing?
Oh, what the fuck? Yeah, that's a bummer. I was hoping at least they had been caught, but
there's no update on Unsolved Mysteries, and just I didn't spend a ton of time, but I looked on Unsolved Mysteries wiki and just Googled it, and I couldn't find anything. So
there's no evidence, and it happened so fast. And of course, he was shot afterwards, so it's not like he got a look at the guy.
Yeah, he doesn't really remember. I don't think the neighbors got a good look at the car. If it was just a dark sedan with 2 people in it. You know, you're never going to find those people. So, and that is the end of the episode. That brings us to the close of season 6, episode 6.
All right. Well, maybe we should rate it.
I think we have to by law.
All right. Our first category is mysteriousness.
I'm actually gonna say thumbs up because for a long time they didn't know who killed that teacher.
That's true. That adds to the mysterious. We still don't know who shot.
We have no idea who shot Rory. They're probably gonna get away with that forever.
The first one is mysterious in a way.
Yeah. Actually, I have a lot of questions about that first segment. So I'm gonna say mysteriousness, thumbs way up.
Thumbs up. Reenactments?
Oh,
this one is hard to rate because I do think you should watch this episode just for the reenactments in the first one alone. So is that a thumbs up? I wouldn't say they're good. They're wild.
But the dog, Samantha.
Oh, the dog one actually is. That dog is a great actor.
So for that alone, and actually, I think they did a good job with the World War II London reenactment.
Yeah, that's true. That was a good one. The child actors were actually really good too.
They were really good, and I feel like the sets were, like pretty realistic and whatever. It was not a like laughably bad thing, which is good because it was a serious segment. So I'm gonna say a cautious thumbs up.
Yeah, I'll give it a thumbs up too.
It's not thumbs up across the board, but. Who doesn't want to see the actress playing Linda laugh maniacally and pin someone to a bed and like roll off screen? I mean, it's so good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. Our next category is fashion.
Pretty terrible.
Did you have an MVM? There were a few mustache beard combos, but none of them stood out to me.
There was one mustache during your unexplained death. I don't even know who this. I think it was just someone who knew her.
Okay.
I just wrote down George. It was just a guy with a gray mustache, and I called it Mr. Prickles.
I swear we've had a Mr. Prickles before, haven't we?
Probably. Fine. Senor Prickles.
Okay, it's different.
Monsieur Prickles. There we go. Yeah, it's just kind of, it's not spectacular. It was just the only like actual standalone mustache.
Okay, well,
I
sideways? I don't know.
I think I'm bad, honestly, unless you love a floral moo-moo.
I mean, I don't.
What about mom jeans on a ghost?
I mean, on a ghost? Love it.
Okay, well, then sideways it is. That's what it averages out to. Robert Stack, I think just for his snark.
His snark is good in this episode.
He is not happy.
Slugs getting sacrificed? That was hilarious.
Yeah, thumbs up. Thanks, Stack. I kind of wanted to give him a hug after that, or like a high five or something.
A fist bump.
Yeah, it's like, you got it.
Good job.
Good job.
Good one, Stack. Yeah. On our Robert Stack scale,
this is hard.
I'm gonna remember that ghost mystery.
I will never forget that, and I made Mac watch it today. So it is good enough that you will make people sit down and watch a horny ghost. But the rest of this is kind of a real bummer.
Yeah, but they're well done.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I'm going to say but I hate that it has all those unnecessary updates. I'm still going to say a 4, I think.
I was going to say a 4. Part of me wanted to say 3.5, but it's better than that. It's better than a 3.5. It's not 5, but...
The ghost part is so absurd. And I'm not even sure we did its absurdity justice. It's wild. It's not like something we've seen before.
Definitely not something I've seen before.
Someone recently tweeted that like Unsolved Mysteries gets credit for being creepy, but not for being super horny. And I was like, no, we pay attention to that.
We give it credit for that all the time.
Perhaps too much credit. And this segment, it definitely falls into that category of like, why was this on TV? I'm glad I didn't end up watching this with my grandparents or something. I would have blushed myself to death.
All right, well that wraps.
You know that thing when you were a kid and something like about sex would come on TV and you would just sit really straight and just pretend you didn't know what was going on?
Yeah, you would just kind of like stare at the TV, like just like trying to be casual.
Like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
This is not awkward because I don't get it. I'm a child.
That could have been you watching this episode of Unsolved Mysteries, like
Yeah,
the kitchen
it really
table.
could have. It really could. Where you're just like, don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. This is how we do it.
All right, that wraps up season 6, episode 6.
Okay.
Except for our recommendation segment.
Yes. I thought I didn't have a recommendation. But then last night, I got thinking about Andy Warhol, as you do.
Okay. Normal.
And, well, okay, this might be a bit of a rant or whatever. But I was thinking about, so Andy Warhol has that very famous quote that in the future, everybody's going to be world famous for 15 minutes.
Sure.
And 15 minutes only. And I was thinking about how Twitter tends to have a main character of the day.
Oh, yeah. It was just like bad for like 5 minutes before the insurrection.
Yes, exactly. That there's one person that everybody is like, can you believe this motherfucker? And everybody just like piles on because they, have made some horrible faux pas and nobody can believe how horrible they are. And so it occurred to me like, that's almost this famous for 15 minutes thing, except you get like a whole day. But I feel like we're moving in that direction.
Sure.
That was my thought.
God, I dread when my time is up. I don't want to be the Twitter person of the day.
You don't. You do not want to be the main character of Twitter. It could ruin your life. So be careful what you tweet.
Good thing I don't tweet. I only like things.
Yes, I very skillfully handle our Twitter account. Perhaps it's you. Be sure to follow us. Be sure to not make me the main character of Twitter. No. But that made me think of the longest book I've ever read. And it might be a good quarantine project for people. Which is the Andy Warhol Diaries.
Okay.
So, yes, this is...
How long are we talking?
800 pages.
Okay, I've read longer, but that is daunting.
Also, they're not like they're big pages. Okay. They're not regular book size pages. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're big. It's like an oversized book. Also. So it takes some time, but you
got time though.
That's the thing. I was like, this is the time to recommend an 800-page book. Now, when we're all at home, why haven't I recommended this sooner? It is such an experience. So this exists because Andy Warhol got audited by the IRS annually. And he...
Why? I've never heard this before.
I don't know. They didn't like him.
Oh, okay.
I'm not actually sure why he got audited annually, but he had lots of wheelings and dealings going on.
Okay. They're looking into that, I guess.
Yeah, they were looking into it. I mean, I'm sure Todd was spending tons of money on drugs. Maybe that was why. But so he decided that what he needed to start doing to record his expenses is he was calling his friend every day. Let me just Pat Hackett. And he would call her and tell her what he had done the day before. He called her at 9 a.m. literally 5 days a week. But
a good friend.
Yeah. Well, keep listening. So it's essentially was for tax reasons. And so you hear a lot of how much different cabs cost to get around New York. But also the man is just a horrible gossip. So most of it is not about his expenses. It's about famous people that he saw and clubs that he went to and just gossip that he heard. Okay. And it's fucking fascinating. So she recorded all of this. It started in 1976 and goes until February 17th of 1987, just 5 days before his death. So the whole, this is a condensed version, what we can like buy and print.
Is it literally a diary where she writes every day and you get to read what he said that day?
Yes, except that if it wasn't condensed, it would be 20,000 pages. So we're reading 800 pages, the best, juiciest bits of how and
the good stuff.
How Andy Warhol.
I went to the doctor yesterday.
I mean, that's probably still in there, but you get to hear about like the art shows, him going to Studio 54. Just like it's a fascinating lens into that time of like fashion, drag culture, celebrity gossip, because he knew fucking everyone. Just like what rich people were doing. It is full of weird nuggets of wisdom that could only come from him. It's a whole experience. It's definitely like a time capsule of a world that I just like wasn't around for. And yeah, you see like the AIDS epidemic. You see just different tragedies that fell on like him and his friends. There's him getting shot and
wow, that does sound
kinds of
fascinating.
it's completely fascinating. You can kind of skim it. You don't have to read every word but it's really, really interesting. And I love all the like bad mouthing rich people, which there's a ton of.
Okay.
So one of his schemes, and he was definitely a schemer as much as he was an artist, was that so he also ran Interview magazine. He started Interview magazine, and his idea was that he would put rich people on the cover of Interview magazine, and they would be so flattered that they would buy art. That's the reason the Interview magazine existed.
Okay.
But rich people expect to get everything for free, even though they have a ton of money. So there's this constant like battle of people expecting fucking Andy Warhol to do things for exposure because they're just not used to paying for anything anymore. That's totally fascinating to me. And you can hear just like I'm also really interested in like his collections, a lot of which were sold at Christie's after his death. So it's like him buying like cookie jars and I don't know. It's just a whole weird world. And I think it's such a testament to that you don't really have to be normal. You can carve out your own weird life.
That's
It's
a really good
inspiring.
moral of that story. Yeah, totally.
It's inspiring in that way. And if you're thinking to yourself, Liz, that sounds interesting, but there's no way in fuck I'm reading 800 pages of anything, that's fine. You should get then The Philosophy of Andy Warhol, which is a short little book of just like things he would say to his staff and like musings. It's just like random little it would be tweets now probably. It's just like random little bits. And I think that that's totally fascinating as well in a different way. And also it's like I don't know. Do you have like an artsy niece that's graduating from high school? Because that's absolutely what you should give them.
Oh, great idea.
100%. Yes. All right. That's my recommendation.
My recommendation, in contrast, is quite silly. That was a great recommendation. I didn't really have anything to recommend.
I want a silly recommendation.
Well, I mean, this is for you.
I know that we all think of me as a very serious person, and that's true, but
from time to time, I've recommended Instagram accounts that I've been enjoying. Normally, it's Instagram accounts for cute animals. This one I stumbled upon. This Instagram account has a ton of followers, so there's a good chance you're already following them. But this is an Instagram account for a squirrel.
I'm listening.
The squirrel's name is Thumbelina, and she's really adorable.
Is this a pet squirrel?
It's a pet squirrel. My understanding of the backstory is that she was rescued. Her Thumbelina's mom had a nest and was about to give birth. And when there was construction going on and they tore down the tree that the nest was in. And so she climbed into like someone's like apartment and gave birth on like their bed. And that person reached out to wildlife rehab rescue place and they took in the babies. And I think not all of the babies survived, but a few of them did and were able to be released. But for some reason, Thumbelina wasn't. She had medical issues and was never able to get to a point where she could be released into the wild. And so she lives with one of the rehabbers. And they made an Instagram account for her.
Aww.
And first of all, squirrels are so cute. Like, I realize they're kind of a nuisance. Like, I garden, I understand. They get into your shit, but they are so cute. And so she lives in this house. She has this giant cage, but she also, it seems like, just has like free reign in the house and just like goes all over. And they post all the time. She's super cute. There's a calendar you can buy every month. Is a cute little picture of Thumbelina in like little outfits. And I don't know, I really, every time her little story thing comes up on my Instagram, I gotta see what Thumbelina's up to. And usually it's just eating a blueberry or like sleeping and being cute. But I'm enjoying it. I should tell you her Instagram account handle. It's little_Thumbelina_girl. And she's super cute. It says little Thumbelina was rescued after her nest was destroyed by city construction.
Aww.
There's a little thing to read her story. Yeah, she's really cute little squirrel. I kind of want a pet squirrel. I don't think it's like a good idea. They belong in the wild, but
I mean, Bob Ross had a pet squirrel. I don't know what the
yes,
story behind that was, but it was a good idea for him, so
I
I
think
don't
it
see
was
why
something
not.
similar. Like it was a squirrel that couldn't be released into the wild for some reason. I might be
I
wrong
think
about
I've
that.
said this before, but I would love a pet skunk. Skunks, look, I don't know what you're thinking right now, but they're the fucking cutest animals ever.
Oh
They're
yeah.
so cute. We used to have a shed that had a family of skunks living under it, and those baby skunks, oh my
I
god,
mean, I know you can
cutest things I
actually
ever
get
saw.
a pet skunk. I don't know how ethical that is. If that's like if there's
I
if
think
that's
it's the
problematic,
same
but
thing where maybe if they've been, like, injured or, have to be taken in like, they can't be in the wild anymore.
yeah,
So I think that's really the only situation where you should get a pet skunk, but,
they
oh
are really
man,
cute.
I would
Skunks are
love
really
one.
cute.
Would Lenny ever allow that? No, not in a million years.
Oh no, I couldn't have a pet squirrel either.
That Lenny is my dog, by the way, not just, like, someone
Someone that
not just
lives in the basement. That's
yeah,
the ghost.
yeah, not a ghost or just a dude who lives in my house. He's a dog. He is a very spoiled, annoying dog. Okay, I think that brings us to the end. You're probably already reading the Andy Warhol Diaries, so we should probably go.
Yeah, they need to get going on that if they're gonna finish that book. So we better go.
I read that on the clock, and I couldn't recommend that more. What an enjoyable experience that was. I kind of want to go through it again and take some notes because I just feel like there's some very amazing factoids. Not so much towards the end, but like during his like end of his heyday. Fascinating.
Nice.
Okay. All right. So we already talked about Twitter. That's Perhaps It's You. We've also got an Instagram. It doesn't have a pet squirrel, but Samantha does have a donkey. So
it's true. The donkey's pretty cute.
Follow that. You could email us a paranormal tale at perhapsitsyou.podcast@gmail.com. Perhaps you had a psychic dream.
Send us that story.
Last night, both Mac and I dreamt about having to move.
Oh, I don't like this. You can't move.
I don't like it either. I don't want to move. I don't know if that means anything, but that's what happened. Huh. Okay. We have a website, perhapsitsyou.com. That occasionally gets updated with our recommendations. We have a contact form. We've got merch.
Yes.
Including like super cool t-shirts. Ooh, okay. So for February 1st, Samantha's birthday, our Teespring store is going to be 15% off. Code Samantha.
Hell yeah.
So,
wow. I can't believe I have a discount code in my name. I feel like an influencer.
Yes, you totally are. So if you have been putting off getting that black sweatshirt, February 1st, baby. Nice. And please leave us a 5-star review because if we don't get any more, I'm going to stop doing this. Samantha's like, I'm sorry, what? And what else? Is there anything else? Patreon.
Yeah, give us some money on Patreon. We have one more Patreon episode that will be about the Unsolved Mysteries reboot, and then we will finally move on to something else. I'm kind of looking forward to it. Yeah, that's only $1. It's a pretty good deal.
Such a good deal. And I think that is pretty much it. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Keep barking.
Bye.